This is The Great Expanse by John Bat 426 here on YouTube. This is the recap with no cap. Daredevil Born Again, Season 2, Episode 4. And I'm going to pause again and look up the title. The name of the episode, yes, you'll notice the cut because I had to look it up. It's called Gloves Off. Now, I don't remember if they actually have the title at the beginning of the shows or not. I don't think they do. But we're trying something a little different. As you can see, the angle is a little closer. All right, so there's less background. We'll just see how it works, all right? That's just a technical thing. It's not that you asked for it, but I'm gonna give it to you, all right? So this episode starts off with Poindexter. Now, usually that's the name attributed to a nerd or a geek, but in this case, it's referring to the deadliest assassin currently in New York City, Bullseye. We see him sort of going about his normal daily routine, waking up in the morning, walking out his door, saying hi to his neighbor, playing with the dog. And it really reminded me of when, in 1995, when Jeffrey Dahmer was sort of uncovered, to be this cannibalistic psychopath. And all his neighbors were like, he was so quiet. And now it was just getting me to thinking about that. It's like, this lady's just saying hi to him, and she don't know who he is. You know what I mean? So that's why it's always important to be nice and be kind to your neighbors, the more you know. So then we see him go to this diner. It looks like he enjoys his meal. He says he wants the milkshake. And I thought that the waitress was the comedian Lunell. Is that her name? Lunell? But I don't think that was her though, as the waitress. So she gave him a milkshake. And then Bullseye picks up his phone, calls the AVTF, and they said that Frank Castle is in the diner with a gun. So you can see that Bullseye is just trying to lure the AVTF into the diner so that he can just have his way with them, because he is gunning for the Kingpin and his wife, Vanessa. So let me highlight some pluses. In other words, these are the things that I liked about the episode, and then I'm going to highlight some minuses, things I disliked about the episode. Then I'm going to give an overall grade. All right. So I have a little bit of a format now, which is kind of basic, just pluses and minuses. All right. Plus, Bullseye. Bullseye on camera in this episode. Plus, Matt Murdock for once, when he's not in the suit as Daredevil. Plus, I'm trying to think what else was a plus. But see that opening sequence with Bullseye, because he tells the AVTF Frank Castle is there, who's the Punisher. They just flood into this diner in a matter of minutes, and then they're right where Bullseye wants them. So remember, Bullseye has the ability to use any projectile weapon as a killing instrument. So he put a toothpick inside of his straw because he was drinking a milkshake. And so when the AVTF guy recognizes who he is, he's like, boom, and the toothpick goes God knows where. Then he just starts picking up things and throwing them, because that's Bullseye's shtick. I don't know if he even uses guns like that in the comic books, but I do believe, Bullseye can use a gun. But I think he throws things because it's more of a challenge, I believe. So he wipes out these AVTF guys. This guy, who's a patron there, has his dog. And Bullseye says it's unsanitary to bring a dog here. And the guy is afraid, the dog is afraid, and Bullseye says, calm down, I'm one of the good guys. All right. So then he leaves. Bullseye was the standout, especially this opening sequence. The way this episode started, it's almost like this should have been the first episode of the season. I mean, it's action-packed. Things are moving around. It's centered on Bullseye, not the peripheral characters. It's centered on Bullseye. Now, after this massacre, because he kills all these people, Daredevil, Matt Murdock, he takes the AVTF uniform that I think they purloined from Alan Saunders, who basically gave them the code key to the facility in Red Hook in the last episode. So I like that Matt Murdock was actually doing Matt Murdock Daredevil-ish things. I said Daredevil-ish things. Out of uniform, because previously we just see him in the loft with Karen, just like laying down, just pacing the floor, watching the trial, not doing anything. This time he's actually being Daredevil Matt Murdock outside of the suit. Plus, for Matt Murdock, okay, actually at a crime scene being Daredevil. So he puts on the ABTF, he has the shades on or whatever, and he's assessing the crime scene for himself because I think he knew early on that it was Bullseye. Now remember, he can't see. He's blind. So then he finds a quarter or some kind of coin that was received from the Catholic church that he was raised at. Now, in this episode, they show a lot of stock photography from the Netflix show. You know, they show him blind in the church because the Kingpin's charity boxing event, which makes no sense, minus, okay, I was doing pluses, but since I brought that up, minus for the episode, Kingpin's charity boxing event is being held at Fogwell's gym. Kingpin knows that this is Matt Murdock's stomping grounds. He knows that that's where his dad used to train. I think it was battling Dave Murdock? What was his name? I forgot his name. Whatever. But that's where Daredevil trained. I think Stick trained him there too. So, and Fogwell, you know, Foggy, he purchased it. That's why it's called Fogwell's gym. He purchased the gym before he was killed, you know, in season 1 by Bullseye. So the whole charity boxing thing does not work for me, minus. And it's basically a trap to lure Bullseye out into the open because he's gunning for Vanessa. This whole thing is staged. It's like Admiral Akbar in Return of the Jedi. It's a trap to get Bullseye. And Kingpin is telling Vanessa this. And he says, I don't want you there. He tells her. He says, I'm sending you to the governor's mansion, okay, which is in Albany, New York. I believe that's north of New York City. Oops, sorry. To talk to the governor. So Vanessa doesn't really seem like she's really into the plan, but she goes regardless because he asked her to. So she's speaking to the governor. The governor's saying, I'm thinking about repealing the charter, I think of 1855 or 1755, which allows the free port to be in existence, basically. And so she's speaking to Vanessa, the governor. And then, for reasons unknown, the governor just falls in love with her. She's like, you know, I would have repealed it for the mayor, but I might leave it open for the mayor and his wife. And she's basically petitioning or pleading with Vanessa to like calm the Kingpin down. It's like, you know, well, Mayor Fisk. It's like, can you talk to him? Can you get him to lay off? You know what I mean? Because she knows about all the contraband that he's bringing in through the Freeport for like the CIA and all these other agencies or whatever. But she says that I'll leave the port open if it's you and him. But if it's him by himself, she's going to repeal the charter. All right. So that's what Vanessa's doing. That scene, I'm going to give it a plus. That was a plus scene. Okay. Even though it was like, you're falling in love with Vanessa. I personally can't stand Vanessa Fisk, the character. I can't stand her. In the comics, of course, Kingpin was just wrapped around her finger. He really loved Vanessa. You sort of see a hint of that in Into the Spider-Verse. You know, when Kingpin's that massive figure and, you know, he'll do anything for Vanessa. So those are a few earmarks of the Kingpin's real life relationship with his wife. But in this one, season 1, she was banging that hippie when he was injured by Echo. Then she told him about it, like almost like a challenge. Like, yeah, I did. So what does Kingpin do? He incarcerates the hippie and kills him with his bare hands. I'm thinking, wait a minute. If you don't kill this woman, I said this while I was watching it. Kingpin, you got to kill this woman with your bare hands by the end of this season. And of course, it wouldn't be an easy decision for the Kingpin, but Vanessa got to go. Can't be two Kingpins. Only got to be him. Anyway, so let's move on. So Matt discovers that quarter that he found at the crime scene. He says, I mean, no, he didn't say it, but he went to the church, okay? And the same junior priest or whatever he is that Bullseye encountered in the previous episode is the same one that happens to meet up with Matt in the church, okay? So Matt asks him about the quarter, then he hears his heartbeat go funny, which is indicated that the person's lying. So the young priest is lying or withholding information. So basically he says that Bullseye held him at gunpoint, the priest. And so Matt is like, he's a killer. He's like, you have to direct me to him. And then the priest gets stupid, minus for this part. The priest is like, I can't snitch or whatever. Sir, man of the cloth, you were just informed by a member of the ABTF, because remember, Matt still has on the riot gear, that he's a killer. What do you mean you're not gonna let law enforcement know the whereabouts of a killer. That was dumb. So then he says, well, when you find him, what are you going to do? Who cares? It's not in your hands. The man has to pay for his crimes, right? Minus for that section. So then the charity boxing event occurs. It's stupid. Why would the mayor of New York City be in a charity boxing match? Why? Now, again, he's using this to lure Bullseye into the open. But just the spectacle, just the optics of it was just stupid. Like, why is the mayor in a boxing match? Like, I know that the Kingpin is a huge, Butterbean-esque character. He's very large or whatever. He's powerful, too. As soon as I seen the opening, round, I'm like, Kingpin's going to kill this dude. I would have bet money that he was going to kill this man. The Matterhorn, whatever his name is. So he's like bludgeoning him. It doesn't feel like a celebrity event. It doesn't feel like an exhibition. I likened it unto Rocky's first fight with Spider Rico in the very first Rocky. It's like the lighting is dim. It's like a smoke-filled room, but there's no cigars or cigarettes. It's like, it's gloomy. I'm just like confused watching this. I'm like, this is bad. Bad. Minus for this. This sucked. The whole sequence stunk. So then, in walks Vanessa Fisk. Now remember, the Kingpin told her to stay away from the event in Fogwell's gym because he's trying to draw Bullseye out so he can kill Bullseye and protect Vanessa. So she sits front row in this like very formal looking strapless white dress. I don't know why she would wear white. Whatever. So she's there to show off, I guess. So after Kingpin nearly cripples the guy and they had to take him out of a charity boxing match in a stretcher. Again, just ridiculous. She walks into the ring and Kingpin's like, I didn't want you here. She's like, kiss me. Because she's so excited about her getting the job done because the charter is going to stay open because she's going to be by his side. But I'm like this. Strategically, this is dumb. You know that they're drawing out the assassin Bullseye, so why would you walk in the ring? It's dumb, dumb, dumb. So, lo and behold, here comes Bullseye. But before that, I want to tie in something from the very first episode of the season when the Northern Star crashed. Achilleo and Christoffy, who were the captain and the first mate of the ship, abandoned ship. They did what they were supposed to do. They sank the tanker to the bottom of the East River, or whatever river it was. And they were both previously in hiding, but the one guy was found at the Greek lady's restaurant, and they killed him. But Cashman questioned him, then blew his brains up. So Christoffy shows up, okay? He shows up. He's interviewed on camera by Karen Page, wearing a wig, okay? So then they turn Christoffy over to the Fed, the marshals. I'm like, wait a minute. Why wouldn't Daredevil and Karen keep him in hiding? That was dumb. I was like, why would you turn him over to public officials when the number one public official is the Kingpin of crime? So they turn him over to the federal marshals. I guess they arrive at their destination or something. Out of the shadows, Buck Cashman comes out and just blows both of their brains out. Bow, bow. And then he kills Christoffy. Or at least that's what we're led to believe. So I'm like, this was stupid. Why would you turn... That was dumb. That was dumb. Minus. That sucked. So Bullseye is taking out AVTF guys. You know what I mean? With the throwing objects, killing them. Daredevil hits the gym. Bullseye goes to try and kill Vanessa. He throws this like sculpture at her. So as soon as he releases it, Vanessa pulls out a gun and shoots and hits Bullseye. She had the speed, the quick draw. She was Annie Oakley all of a sudden. Pulled a gun out and shot Bullseye. Like in the side somewhere. And so while this object is hurtling towards her, again, she had the wherewithal to pull. Stupid. Minus. Okay. Kingpin got this like complimentary belt, for the exhibition match for bludgeoning the guy to death. So he hits the object down with the belt, which I'm not mad at. Okay, and then things start flying. The AVTF are going after Bullseye. Kingpin picks up the gun that Vanessa had and leans over the ropes of the boxing ring and tries to kill and execute Bullseye right there on the spot. Because remember, Daredevil told Bullseye when they had an encounter earlier in the episode, he says, "I don't want you to make the Kingpin a martyr." So Daredevil, that's why he stupidly jumped in front of the Kingpin when Bullseye tried to kill him in the first season, which was stupid. I would just say, let that man die. Like, who's going to take over? Kingpin Jr.? There is no Kingpin Jr. So Kingpin's about to shoot and kill Bullseye, maybe. Daredevil uses his baton, the retractable joint, grabs Bullseye, flies through the window, lands outside in front of more AVTF guys. Somehow Bullseye disappears. He teleported away. He was nowhere to be found. Matt Murdock is lying on the asphalt. Lost track of Bullseye, lost sight of Bullseye. Then he gets up and runs off Daredevil. Now, for the finale, the camera, we're brought back to the interior of the gym. Kingpin's looking around. Then he looks at Vanessa, and she's just standing there like this. And the camera widens, the shot widens, and there's a huge shard of glass right in her temple. I'm like, yes! I'm like, yay! She's dead! So then she goes beep beep, falls on the ring in her white, again, only for the purpose of cinema. She has white on and there's blood all over her white dress. She's leaking, fade to black. And the Kingpin, of course, is distraught. I'm like, hey ho, the Wicked Witch is dead. Yes, she's gone. She's gone. So for this entire celebrity boxing match, minuses all around, I was so disappointed by this that it almost brought down the entire grade for the entire episode, which would not have been fair, I'll admit. But it's I was on such a high with the way the episode started, with Bullseye, in the diner, killing the AVTF guys, and Daredevil doing this follow-up thing, acting like Daredevil. You know what I mean? Bullseye acting like Bullseye. There weren't as many peripheral characters in this episode. I've been very critical of the balloon cast. Wasn't a lot of them in this, or they had small little scenes or whatever, we saw Deputy Mayor Gandolfini. I'm just calling him Deputy Mayor Gandolfini. And BB. We saw a little bit of Sheila, who actually kind of Buck Cashman killed two of Matthew Lillard's men, because I think Matthew Lillard, he didn't really trust that he says that I always plan a way to escape tough situations. But Buck Cashman, he acted like he's putting his gun away, Buck Cashman. Then he pulled it out and just killed both of his muscles, pow, pow. Because the Kingpin and Matthew Lillard have an uneasy truce because of who Matthew Lillard works for, the Contessa, who's Julia Louis-Dreyfus. So I like short scenes with non-sequential characters or inconsequential characters. Buck Cashman, he came across as a goon in this one. He was catching bodies in this one. This was good for Buck Cashman. I need him to be that. I don't need him to be having gossip sessions with Dr. Glenn or talking to Deputy Mayor Gandolfini about sausages or plugging holes when, the leaks in City Hall, when the Kingpin already did it. I don't need Buck Cashman to follow up behind the Kingpin. So again, the lesser known people were in their place, and was focused on Matt Murdock, focused on Bullseye, Kingpin. That's who it always should be focused on. So to wrap up the episode, again, this is probably my favorite episode. I don't know if it's the best one, but maybe it is. But I just remember that last scene I did not like at all. Ugh. But I'm gonna give this episode a C+. C+ for gloves off. Bullseye was the man. This was the Bullseye episode. Buck Cashman was doing this thing. Matt Murdock was finally doing this thing. Even though it looked a little silly when he's walking around the people they rescued from the previous episode. And he has his Daredevil outfit on in broad day. It just looked a little weird, okay? But good episode. C+ again. I'm so glad Vanessa's gone. Yes. She better not survive. Anyway, this is my take, all right? This is the recap of No Cap. Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 4, called Gloves Off. What did you think of the episode? What did you think of what I thought about the episode? Leave a comment. Let me know. This is the recap of No Cap, and we'll be seeing you again soon.